Hi everyone, I am Miss Mujan and today we are going to learn on how to write an introduction. Okay, so before we start, it's good to know the lesson objective of today's class. So by the end of this lesson, you will be able to produce an introductory paragraph using the correct structure. So today we are going to learn about the correct structure. Okay, before we go further, it's good to know the purpose of an introduction paragraph. Why can't we just go straight to our body paragraphs? Why must we introduce our essay to the reader? Okay, there are four main purposes of writing an introduction paragraph. Firstly, it is to catch your reader's interest so that they will continue to read your essay. Secondly, it gives the general idea or general topic of the essay so that the audience know what to expect from your essay. Next, an introduction is important to give the background information for your readers so that they will understand the topic even better. At least they have a background to to before they read your essay. And again, like what I mentioned earlier, it will inform the readers on what to expect in the following paragraphs. So all of this is important so that if your reader will be motivated to read your essay. So let's learn the structure of an introduction. So imagine an inverted triangle. So that is how your introduction should be like. It should be from a general statement, something wide and general, and then you slowly move to something specific. This something specific is called your thesis statement. Okay. Thesis statement basically tells the reader your opinion or your stance regarding the topic. Let's focus on the thesis statement. Excuse me, the general statement. Okay, what is a general statement? The general statement should be the first thing that you write in your introduction. So a general statement describes the situation related to the topic or the essay. Why do we write a general statement? So that your reader feel drawn to reading your essay. And it shouldn't be too long. It should be between 1 to 2 sentences long. It should not take too much of your introduction paragraph because the focus should be on your thesis statement. All right, before that, let's look at some example. All right, so let's see this question. Should students listen to less music? Okay, so uh, look at the way the author of this example write the general statement. So instead of stating the reason why we should or should not listen to a lot of music, the author described the situation nowadays related to music. For example, with easy access to internet and smartphone apps, students nowadays are spending a lot of time listening to music. So basically, the author is just giving you the general the situation nowadays. The author did not tell you whether you should or should not listen to music. Okay. All right. Moving on to the next one, which is the thesis statement. Okay, so the thesis statement is the most important thing in your introduction because it tells the main idea of your whole essay. Imagine it as the signboard of your essay or like a map so that the audience know what to expect from your essay. Again, it shouldn't be too long. It should be written within 1 to 2 sentences. Let's look at more examples after this. Okay, a thesis statement should be the preview of your essay. For example, again, the same question, students need to spend less time listening to music. Let's take this question as example and look at the final sentence in this paragraph. I disagree with the view that students should spend less time listening to music because music helps to relieve stress, stimulate the mind, and enhance learning. Okay, so as you can see here, the author mentioned 3 points that will be elaborated in the body paragraph. So in the body paragraph 1, the author will talk about how music can relieve stress, and in the second body paragraph, the author will talk about how music can stimulate the mind, and lastly, the author will talk about how music can enhance learning. So this is a very good thesis statement because it's very specific. It tells you the stance of the author, and then the main points that will be elaborated by the author in the essay. Okay, moving on to the more examples. Okay, a thesis statement should not be too broad. For example, there are many advantages of exercising. Again, this is too broad. It should be more specific. For example, you can say there are many advantages of exercising, which include controlling weight, preventing diseases, and releasing stress. So in your first body paragraph, you'll talk about how exercise can control your weight. In the second body paragraph, you will talk about how exercising can prevent diseases. While in your last body paragraph, um, you'll talk about how exercising relieves your stress. Secondly, your thesis statement should not be vague. Okay, for example, Malaysia is a good country. Good for what? It's too vague. It's not clear at all. So the audience will not know what you're going to talk about. Instead, you should say, uh, you should be, again, be specific. Malaysia is a good country to live in. All right. Because in the example just now, Malaysia is a good country. It could be good for investment. It could be good as a place to visit. But so we don't know what is the author trying to share, right? Well, in the corrected version, Malaysia is a good country to live in due to its beautiful nature, low cost of living, and racial harmony. So this is an example of a good thesis statement. You can pause the video and try to write your own thesis statement. Okay, moving on. Let's look at more examples to make it clearer for you. Okay, let's look at example 1. Is it better for the elderly to live in nursing homes? Okay, again, we should start with something broad. Look at this example, the one highlighted in yellow. The one highlighted in yellow is the general statement. Caring for the elderly has become a challenge for many families today. In the future, every young person will have 2 to 4 elderly people to take care of. So in this sentence, the author did not even mention about nursing home. The author just mentioned about the general situation nowadays. Okay, this is what we call a general statement. All right, moving on to the next sentence. To relieve this pressure, placing the elderly in nursing homes seems a viable alternative because of the availability of professional medical care, a suitable environment, and community in such homes. All right, if you can see this this sentence, it is the thesis statement. Why? Because here the author is mentioning his or her stance and the 3 points that he or she is going to elaborate in the body paragraphs. I hope this example is clear for all of you. Let's move on to the next example. All right, again, the same question as previous one. Students need to spend less time listening to music. Okay. the author first talk about the general situation nowadays, how it's easier to access music because of our smartphone apps like Spotify, YouTube, and so on. And in the in the third sentence, the author is giving his or her thesis statement. I disagree. So if you want to argue, if you want to write an argumentative essay where you disagree or you totally agree with something, you have to mention it. I disagree with this view because, okay, and then you mention your 3 points. 3 or more points. Usually in an essay, we write 3 points, but you can write more if you have more ideas and you have enough time during the exam. Okay, so I highlighted the points so that it's clearer for you. You can mention if it's you want to support the statement or you want to totally disagree with the statement, you have to mention your stance clearly. Moving on to the next example. All right. Sorry, sorry, that's not example 2, that is example 3, supposedly. Okay. So here, if you want to be neutral, if you just want to write a discursive essay where you are neutral, again, you still have to mention your point, your stance, but you have to mention it clearly. While I agree that spending too much time on music can distract students from their study, okay, that is your point to agree that we should spend less time on music. But you also, because you want to be neutral, you also have to mention the other point of view. I disagree with the view that students should spend less time listening to music because music helps to relieve stress and stimulate the mind. So in your first body paragraph, you will agree with the statement. You will talk about how music can distract students from their studies. Yeah, but in your second and third body paragraphs, you're going to support the you're going to support you're going to disagree with the statement while talking about how music can relieve stress and also how in the third body paragraph how music can stimulate the mind. Okay, so again your stance must be clear, especially if you're going neutral. Let's look at the next example. All right. If it's a problem solving question, how to save the environment? Again, let's look at this example. In the first two sentences is the general statement, is explaining the situation that's happening right now. The planet faces many troubling environmental issues that stem from human activity. Okay, again, is general statement. And moving on to the next one, if you can see the one in blue, is talking about is also talking about giving you more explanation about what is currently happening in this world, right? Okay, now let's focus on the thesis statement, the last sentence in this body paragraph, in this introduction paragraph. To improve the state of the environment, sustainable development, mindful consumption, and stricter law need to be implemented and carried out. So from this thesis statement, we know there are 3 points that will be developed by the author. The first one is in the first body paragraph, the author will talk about sustainable development. In the second body paragraph, the author will talk about mindful consumption. And the last body paragraph, the author will talk about stricter laws. So before we end the session, let's recap on the structure of a introduction paragraph. Okay, to recap, let's go back to the earlier slide. So the structure of introduction should look like an inverted triangle. It starts from something general, a general statement regarding the topic, and then you slowly move to the thesis statement, which is a statement that is specific to your essay by presenting your points. Okay, I hope that the lesson has been useful for you, and then now you can try to write your own introduction paragraph. See you in the next learning unit. Thank you, students, for your attention.